Well, with Google Drive, it's basically your Google Docs. Sorry, your File Explorer. Or if you're using the Mac, then this would be your Finder option. So with Google Drive, you have different capabilities here or different functions that you can use, such as creating different files. So if I click on the new button here on the right, or sorry, on the left corner, you'll find that you can create or you can upload different files and also documents as well. So you can create folders, you can create or you can upload a file itself. And if you'd like to do a bulk upload, which is uploading um, all of your different files in your computer, then you can upload it here. At the same time, there are these different applications that are available. And by default, these three applications, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, will be immediately available. So you can simply just select the Google Doc or the Google app that you want to create. And it also gives you other options as well, such as using Google Forms or Google Drawings or using Maps. You can also create a Google site. And also, if you're into programming, then you can also use the Google App Script as well. Google Jamboard, it will be like your whiteboard or your interactive whiteboard. If you're using Padlet or other interactive whiteboards, then this function is also the same as well. And with Google Drive, you can also link your Dropbox or another drive as well, or another Google Drive as well. Okay. So those are the first items or the first basic functions that you can do with Google Drive. Now, apart from creating new documents, Google Drive also has different organization features, such as identifying documents that you list as a priority. So for now, I don't have anything on priority right now, but as we continue or as you start creating different files and collaborating with your other teachers, then you can create priority files as well. Your main or the default view of your Google Drive is My Drive. So in My Drive, this is basically where you'll find all of your files that you've uploaded or that you've created. You can organize it into different files and folders. So if you're going to use Google Classroom will also create a folder specifically for that session. So here you have Classroom as well. And within each of these files, you'll have like within these folders, you'll have like different files as well. So if you click on one of the folders, then it will show you all of the files that you've created in that folder. And just like Finder and also Windows Explorer, or Windows File Explorer, you can also create folders within a folder and within a folder. So it really depends on how OC and organized you want your Google Drive to be. Now, apart from My Drive, you can also have shared drives. So with a shared drive, you can link up multiple Google Drives with one another so that you can collaborate or you can have like one working space where all of your files are. So for example, if you're in the administrative team, you could have like a shared drive with your HR or human resources, another shared drive for finance with the finance team. Or if you're in one academic unit, you can have a shared drive for, let's say, your arts department, your humanities department, and even your sciences department. So with a shared drive, all of the files that you're working on as a team will all be placed there, and everybody will have access to it at any time as well. So that's just one way for shared, or that's one way that you can collaborate easily with Google Drive. Now, next up from shared drives is Shared with Me. Shared with Me is basically a collection of all the files that have been shared with you, which we'll talk about in a bit. And in Shared with Me, you'll find all of the files that your colleagues or other people have shared over time. And also with shared with me, if let's say you access a Google Drive or a Google file online, it will be added or it will be placed here in the shared with me. Now, a word of caution with the shared with me. Sometimes this shared with me, if you've been using it a lot over the past few years already, it will get really populated and you'll find that that it might seem a little bit overwhelming or there might be too much files already. I would suggest that you do not clean your shared with me because if you do, let's say, remove this from your shared with me, then you will lose access to that file. So definitely with the shared with me, as a as a person who's been using Google quite a lot, I seldom clean this up because there would be files that are still connected with other organizations or in different projects that I might want to review later on. But in general, if you're with SOFA for quite some time, then you don't need to clean this up. It will just populate as it goes along. And it's also a great way to just have a repository of all of your materials as well. Now, with the shared with me, it only stays in this area or in this part of your Google Drive, unless you specifically move it to your own Google Drive or you move it to My Drive. Okay, that's something that we'll look into in a bit as we explore Google Drive further. Next up, we have Recent. So in Recent, this is where you'll find a copy or all of your Google Drives that you've edited in the past hour or today, yesterday, earlier this week, and even from last week and all the way up to last month. If you scroll even further, it will just simply start organizing itself according to months and years and even dates, just months and years as well. Another organization feature of Google Drive is the starred option. So with the starred option, this works like your priority, but basically it stars different files or folders for you to quickly access. So if there's, let's say, a grade book that you need to work on, by starring that file, it will be made available here in your starred file as well. Last up, you have the trash, which is as pretty self-explanatory. It's all here, all of the files that you've removed and deleted in your own Google Drive as well. Now, since you're using a G Suite for Education account, or since all of you are in an institutional account, your Google Drive has unlimited storage. So you don't have to worry about the storage capacity of your drive. You can upload as many materials as you want, and it will never run out. Now, and that's one of the advantages for Google Drive in an institutional account. However, if you're using, let's say, a personal Gmail account, the Google Drive storage is only up to 15 gigabytes. But you can, of course, purchase more gigabyte, or you can also purchase more storage later on. So that's the basic organizational features of Google Drive that you see here. And let's now go to creating different files. So when we organize or when we use Google Drive, we just simply click the new button and we can basically create any file or folder that we want. So by clicking any of these applications, it will open up a new window with the appropriate file or the file that you want to see or that you just created. So from here, you can already begin editing and creating your own documents and file as well. Okay. And then next up, so once you have all of your files uploaded or created, we can now begin, like, say, sharing or editing these files within Google Drive. So by selecting, let's say, a folder, we are now faced with different functions as well. So here in this folder that I created, I now have these following options. Here we have a link button. By clicking this link, I'll be able to share this folder just by sharing the link to other people. So by clicking that link, it opens this little menu here that you see, and you can create or you can copy the link and share this with other people. Within that link, you can also set different settings as well, such as making this a restricted folder or file so that only people who were explicitly added to that folder will be will have access. By default, all of the links that you share are locked into your current institution. So the institution that I'm in right now is gtech.guru. So anybody who has this link of this folder will have access to this folder. So they just simply copy and paste the link in their browser and they'll have access to it. Now, within that folder, you can also set the permissions of the user. So they can be like a viewer, meaning that they can only view the files there but can't edit it, or grant them editor access, which is basically giving them the power to organize, add, and edit files as well. Apart from setting or restricting access to within your institution, you can also open this folder or even file up to anybody in the world. And anybody on the internet with this link can view your folder. So just like the other setting, they also have the option to just remain as a viewer or continue being an editor in this file as well. So that's one way that you can share your files with your teachers or within your academic groups. Now, apart from getting the shareable link, there is also this next button that you see here, which is a person and a plus sign. You'll see this button quite common or commonly used in all of the Google apps. So just by clicking it, it will open another window just like this. And this time you can add different people as well into that folder or into that file. It's basically just sharing all of those files with selected people. And just like these files, you can also select their roles within that folder or file. They could be an editor or they can be a viewer. Now, once I've added these people that I want to share, I could also notify them that I've shared a file or a folder with them. And I can also include a message like, please take a look at this folder for your assignments. And then we can just simply click send as well. Now, if you want to go a little bit further in terms of the sharing, there is this setting button here on the upper right-hand corner. By clicking the share settings, you'll have different options, such as editors can change permissions and share. And if I click or if I uncheck that box, editors, meaning the people that I want to add here, will continue to remain as editors, but they will not have like the capability to add other people or add in other people or get the links for this as well. Okay. Okay, is it clear so far? All right. I hope I'm not going too fast for your. Just let me know if I'm going a bit too fast as well. Okay. So that's one of the, with the share, that's one of the advantages of Google Drive and all of the G Suite apps, because you can share all of these files with your, with other people. You can also share it or open it up to the world. So if you want them to just see an artwork that, especially now that we're in an online setting, then using these shareable links will be of help to other people. And since we're all also working online, then the Google Drive app will, or any of the G Suite apps, are really helpful in collaborating on a document. So apart from sharing with other people and groups, once again, you have also the get link access here. So every time you share a document or a folder with somebody, you can you'll be faced, or you'll have these two views. One is sharing it with people in your own organization, or getting the link and just simply sharing it through your WhatsApp group or any messaging application quite quickly. So you'll see this pop up every time you share, you'll see this view all of the time. Okay. So just like in the past, you can also change the restrictions if you're going to get the shareable link to restricted or anyone with a link as well. And then you also have the other options here, such as people within the organization can search for this file. So that's one thing about using Google Drive in your institution, because all of your files are under the SOFA institution. These files, especially if you decide to select it as make this file accessible to SOFA, then any of these files are immediately accessible and can be searched. Now, if there are some files that you don't want people to have access to, confidential files, especially for the admin, such as financial statements and the like, then it can be set as restricted. Okay, so with that, these are the options that you will commonly use in your Google Drive. Okay. So next up, with the other buttons, so you can also remove, and you have different actions as well. So with the different actions, you'll see this common icon here, this 3 dots stacked up together. And within those 3 dots, you'll have your advanced options. So with the advanced options, you can open a file or a folder with a connected app. So here you can see that you can have you can connect different applications by clicking it, and it will open up a mini window where you can select the applications that are available right now. So with the Connect More Apps, it will open up this window that has all of the extensions that you need for your Google Class or for your Google Drive. It will also have all of these added functions also, especially here. Let's say if you don't want to use the default PDF reader of Google Drive, then you can, and you have a preference for Adobe Acrobat, then you can use that as well. And there are many apps that you can integrate into your Google Drive as you go along. Because as always, with Google Drive, not all of the apps that not all of the files that you upload can be opened by Google Drive. So you can search for different applications that have the capacity to open it up as well. Okay. Now, next up, from the Open With, we now have also the Add Shortcut to Drive. So Add Shortcut to Drive is basically it creates a shortcut link to the original file that you have, and it allows that item to appear in more than one location. Before or prior to the update of Google Drive, this would be known as Add File to Google Drive. So in the past, if you'd like to, let's say, get a file from your Shared With Me, let's just go here. So here in the Shared With Me, if you just click on this, in the past, it would be Add File to your own Google Drive. But now, if I click on the Add Shortcut to Drive, it will show this option here of where you can select it. So I'll just simply add that shortcut to my Google Drive. And I'll go back to my drive here. And you'll see now that here is the link to that file that I wanted. So instead of having an actual copy or an actual file, instead it's just basically a link of that file that's been added to your Google Drive. Okay. Next up, sorry, there you go. So next up, we have the move to. So this is where you can move all of your other files as well to different areas or within another folder. You can also add this file to your starred. So now that I've starred it, you can see that this folder now has a star as well. So if I go here to the starred area, it will show that the folder is now in the starred, but is now in the starred folder as well. All right. Next up, you can do some personalization, such as renaming the file itself. You can also color code your different folders to show which, to indicate like whatever project that you're working in. And you can also search within the folder itself for keywords, especially if you're looking for a document also. Here we have the view details, and it will just tell you all of the information about that file or that folder as well. So you can just simply see the details and also create the description if you're very OC for that. And then next up is, or lastly, is the download. So with download, you can simply download the folder as a zip file, and it will begin downloading. And if there are a lot of files in that Google folder, then if you have a lot of files in that Google folder, then it will take a while. So now that it's done, it's been downloaded as a zip file and is now accessible in your downloads folder in your own computer as well. Now, apart from creating documents, you can also upload documents as well. So by clicking your file upload, you'll be Google will open this mini window. I'm not sure if it's popping up on your screens, and it will just show you the files or the files that are in your computer that you would like to upload onto your computer or onto your Google Drive. Okay, so that's basically Google Drive. It's an overview of the things that you can do in this Google Drive, and there are plenty more functions that as you go along you'll find that you can upload even more files and create more documents along the way. Okay, now just before we go on break, I want to share with you one feature that I really like in Google Drive is this, the offline access. So with Google Drive, we know that the internet in the Philippines is not really great. Sometimes we encounter a lot of online problems. So with Google Drive, we can set all of the files here to be made available offline. So when you don't have internet access, but you'd like to work on a document, then by setting your Google Drive to ready for offline use, all of the files that you've uploaded and created here are available even without the internet connection. So how do we set that? Basically, we just go to the settings and click settings. And then here we have an overview of all of the settings in our Google Drive. And then right here by the fourth option is offline. So by default, this box is left unchecked. But by checking it, you can now create, open, and edit any of your recent Google Docs, Sheets, and slide files on this device while you're offline. So this is great, especially if you're on vacation, or if you're not on vacation, but if you're working from a place where there's really terrible internet, then you can still work on your Google Docs or any of your apps offline. And once you have an internet connection, all of those files or any of the edits that you made will be automatically uploaded onto Google Drive once it's connected to the internet. In your settings, you also have different options as well, such as here, convert uploads. With convert uploads, any uploads that you upload onto Google Drive, so this could be a Word file, a PowerPoint file, or even an Excel file, will be uploaded and converted into the appropriate G Suite app. For the Mac users, if you're using Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, unfortunately, Google Drive does not support those document files because of Apple's proprietary technology. So it's best that you convert whatever Pages, Keynote, and Numbers file that you have into your own, into either a PDF or into a Microsoft compatible document. Okay. For Nella, your question is you can't find the offline option under the settings. Oh yes. Sorry about that. For the offline option, let me just go to this one. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention that you have to enable it also. All right. So to enable the offline option, we just simply go to, I had to Google this again since I sometimes forget the link to it. So when you would like to work on your Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides offline, all you just have to do is go to the Google Docs offline Chrome extension. So let's open that up. All right. So when I click that, or if you know your way around Google Chrome, you can visit the Google Chrome Web Store. And in the Google Chrome Web Store, you can have, or you can download different extensions onto your Google Chrome itself. So one of those extensions is this really handy feature known as Google Docs Offline. So with Google Docs Offline, like what I mentioned, you can work on your documents offline without the need for an internet connection. And once there's internet, it will upload all of those edits immediately. So right now it's installed into my Chrome web page or into my Chrome browser. So here in your own view, you'll have like an install. So just click that and it will immediately install the extension into your Google Docs. Now, once it's been installed in your Chrome browser, you simply go back to the settings and then go to the settings and then enable it here in your settings. Now, do note that for the Chrome Web Store, some extensions may not be available. This is dependent on your administrator or your G Suite administrator allowing for extensions to be installed into your Sofa account. So if you're going to compare it, like let's say you go to your personal Gmail account, then the Google Docs offline extension will be available in your personal Gmail account. But then if you go to your Sofa account, if your G Suite administrator did not enable extensions to be installed, then you won't be able to install that extension into your Chrome account with Sofa. So that's something that you can ask your IT administrator to install later on. Okay. So some questions. Does this offline access eat up space on your computer? So far, it only takes up a little bit of space because it would need to store that data. It's basically saved as part of your Chrome web data or your Chrome data. But once it's uploaded, then it gets deloaded or it's removed from that from that data. So you won't really see it so much, or you won't really feel see your data go away or get eaten up, because as it uploads, it deloads all of that from your computer and onto the cloud servers of Google.